Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today I'm going to be showing you step by step how to create this incredible friendship painting. This is called the Fellowship of the Stars, and I am doing this as part of May's Play Live to support St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. So this piece especially was created for that. It was something that I really wanted to make once I was able to tour the hospital and I got to see the kids playing and how they were. And there was a story that I really wanted to tell from observing that. On the mic is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
He is going to be making sure that our little art aid banner is going. And so as you're, donating or doing things, that's coming up there. He's going to make sure that your questions are answered, and he's going to track me with his cameras. And he has a lot of cameras. So you should be able to see every single step of this so you can create this for the people in your own life. This is totally why I made this painting, is so that there's a wonderful image out there that is reflective of the joy and generosity in everybody's heart, and so that you can be making this for your wall, for your community, and for the family and friends in your life. I'm really excited about today.
Oh, me too.
I have a couple success tips that I think will really make this painting much better and easier for everybody who's doing it today, because I know what a big deal it is. The first is, go ahead and check the description below. You're going to see a link that says traceable. That is going to take you to our website. There's going to be materials there. There's going to be a picture of the image, and there's also going to be a traceable. So that if you are not somebody who draws regularly, or you're not confident in your drawing, you can transfer the image onto your canvas. For this particular one, I do highly recommend the Cerl paper that I have listed in the description, because it's really going to help you get the transfer perfectly. My other tip is sharpened pencil for transfers. I'm using splatter brushes. These are my special Galaxy brushes. A brush that you can splatter with successfully is absolutely essential, and a soft-bodied fluid paint. So I'll be using the golden paint right here, but because this is my favorite. It's just packed with pigment. It just performs great. This, in combination with a detail brush, gives me very fine lines and lets me work little tiny details. It's super helpful. If you're on a budget and you absolutely can't get this, what I would totally suggest is getting craft paint. It's a totally acceptable substitute. My other thing is, I'm going to be using that wonderful effect on the wheel. It's actually created with my pouncers. And it was just such a lifesaver when I was designing this painting. I highly recommend it. Of course, you can just brush in a circle if you don't have it, but that result was got by that, and I think that that will really help you. And assorted sponges for the backgrounds. Yes, we can brush this in, but the background technique is so amazing with these sponges. These are economic household sponges, and these are the economic kind of dollar store craft round sponges. So this is what I'm going to be using to put in the background. That is my tips for success for this painting. There may be more. Definitely have a good, brush and lots of support. Try not to take yourself too seriously. Let's take in a deep breath. Let it out. It's an important painting, but we're going to do it great today. I know you can handle it. John knows you can handle it. I'm going to sip my coffee so I can handle it. Let's look at the canvas and the wishes.
Okay.
So we do wishes or prayers. Either is fine, but it's the idea of being optimistic into the universe. And so we have a bunch in. Caitlin would like us to send positive wishes for a little brush's health, her daughter's health. Lori, just for support and strength for her sister and the whole family, because her sister's very sick. Another healthy recovery for Jenna for her niece. Teresa wishes for her little brush, Anna, to have like a good positive surgery and hospital experience and be okay. Irene for strength. Lots of strength. Kelly is strength. Mindy was strength. Rachel is strength. Tammy is strength. Strength is such an important thing. And so we're wishing for strength for each member of their community as they're going through a challenging part of their life. And then we have a wish that our little furry brush, our little Sherpa, while it gets home. And then the last one is, and this is a hard one, but just support for the families in Texas. For all of you that wrote John and I, we're fine. We are not close to the area, but we just want to send support and love. And also, I have a final wish. I don't want to state what it would be that fixes this, but I would love to see in a lifetime an end to this in my newsfeed.
Yeah.
I don't have the wisdom or understanding to know exactly what that would take, but I know that I just want to give that over and hope that we as a community can solve that problem. Because I'd like to never, ever, ever see that in my newsfeed again. And I'd also like to see St. Jude cures, treats, removes childhood illness and especially cancer, and we're never going to see it again. Love to see that too.
Agreed.
All right, let's get this in.
All right.
Are you ready? Ready?
I'm definitely ready.
Straighten your back. Set your intention to be awesomatic as you paint your painting. Okay?
Coffee
Even
first.
if you're brand new, you can do this.
Coffee first, though.
Always coffee. Or tea.
I'm going to sip my coffee.
Maybe caffeine is not your friend and you're a chamomile tea person. I have hypothyroidism, so coffee is literally the gas by which I run.
Coffee.
Like, totally. I'm going to get my first sponge out. The reason I have 3 sponges is because I like to work one mostly in the purple, one in the magenta, and then have one for the white for the really crazy atmospheric effect. All right. Is that funny?
Only that we had yeah.
It was funny? Oh, okay. All right. So here we go. What?
You got some fawns going on.
Am I the Fonzie? I feel like the Fonzie. All right. What you see me doing here, I'll move this over so you can really see it. I've got my brush. To hold my brush correctly, this is a sponge. All tools are kind of a brush to me. My fingers are a brush. I pinch between my fingers and I have these 2 down, and this is going to really help me press down as one might want to. And I'm going to come get just a nice grip of my titanium white paint. So you can see that really brings my paint color out. Talking. I should do it because I teach art. This is my mister. I'm going to mist my canvas a little bit because I'm using an economy canvas and they can sometimes resist paint. So I'm going to go mist, 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 mist. Oh, and also I have these little words here. So that'll help that watercolor pencil dissolve. I do not want this dripping in any way. I'm just coming in and getting my first little pass at my paint in. Can you guys see how I'm getting my first little pass at my paint in?
Yes.
Sometimes I need to get my canvas to the side when I am trying to have a stroke. And one of the things, if you're noticing, is that I am pushing my sponge kind of up the canvas once I got the paint on to create this, and now down the canvas. Always move your canvas to make yourself more comfortable. Let's see how we're creating a directionality to the sponge line. This is really going to help us when we're trying to get in our sky. All right, so once I have that in, all right, I'm going to come here and I'm going to get a lot of my red. And I'm going to work into my purple. And so it's kind of like a magenta-y purple. Can you see that? And we're going to work this up here, kind of like pressing it in as you do, working it into the canvas. When it comes here between these two, I actually will start to soften my pressure. And see how I can blend by very softly, I don't know if the camera can catch this, just rubbing these 2 areas together. See?
Yeah, now, can you hold your hand still real quick? Because I want them to see how much pressure you're putting on there.
When I'm blending, no pressure. When I'm putting into the canvas, this much pressure. See, putting in, blending.
Okay, good.
Putting in, blending. So just like your brush, a sponge, a finger, a stick, all of your tools, when you're applying a pigment to a surface, even if it's an airbrush, there's a pressure that you kind of have to take into account in your head. So I have my very blended upward sky. I've got some nice little brush strokes already heading up this way. And you can see that first layer goes in beautifully. This is almost like glazing my canvas. I really like it as a method of getting a soft blend in. And when you master the sponge, it can be an excellent tool in your artist skill box. And it's one I respect. I have seen a lot of pretty famous artists get a sponge out on occasion and work a thing out. So don't feel like it's like that isn't real art. Real art is what artists do when they make art. That's it. That's the whole qualification. You make an art, it's real. You didn't hallucinate it, and then maybe it's still art.
Now, is this technique you've just done here similar to toning a canvas or toning your substrate?
It is similar to toning, and it's a little bit like blushing too.
Hmm.
It has some things in common with both.
So all those are similar techniques.
They're similar. They accomplish similar things.
But yeah, okay.
But since we're building up these colors the way that we are, it's not strictly toning.
Right. There's more complexity here.
A little bit. Toning would be putting a thin layer of paint onto your canvas in acrylic. You cannot do it the way that oil painters do because it'll underbind, but we have airbrush medium and some techniques, and this is a good way to tone if you have acrylic.
Cool. Okay.
And you've had underbinding problems. Let me dry this because the next layer goes on best if it's dry. I'm going to make sure my sponge doesn't have the paint dry on it. So what I'll do is mist it. Yeah, babe?
While you're drying it, can I tell some? I've got a joke.
Please
I would love
do.
to tell everybody.
And John has to explain to you why he has to tell you.
I will
a joke.
absolutely do that.
And I will dry this canvas, and you can wave at your canvas or hair dry too. But listen to John.
Okay. So,
okay. I love today. I'm so excited about today.
Man, I have to push the right button. Okay. So, in gratitude for everyone who's helping to support St. Jude, when we reach certain milestones or people give certain amounts, we're doing things to give back, and one of them is that I'm telling jokes. So, you know, we know that laughter heals. So for everyone who's donated $50, I'm telling a joke on their behalf to try to get through that laughter. So my first joke is on behalf of Amanda, and it's a little bit of corny pirate humor. All right, Cinnamon, so you're back here. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm,
I'm glad you set your cup down because this one, you know, this is definitely you could lose it. All right,
I could lose it.
You could like that coffee through the nose. Funny.
Okay, so the coffee's down. I'm okay.
Yeah, all right. How much money does a pirate pay for corn?
I have no idea how much a pirate pays for corn.
A buccaneer.
Did you tell Spider that?
No, I have not told
He
Spider
would
that.
love it.
I'm actually afraid to tell him that because I don't want him to because he's going to be going, Dad, let me tell you a joke. I'm like, dude, I told you that joke like 10 minutes ago. He'll be like, no. But I got
you guys have got to give that to your kids.
Yes.
And maybe your coworkers at the office because, hey, we could all lighten up a little bit.
I highly suggest all of these jokes being retold in the workplace in sincerity with a straight face. Like, I've got a good joke for you.
Yeah. And the more gravitas you have to your position, the more you should tell it.
Absolutely.
Closing a $1.5 million deal, tell that joke.
Yes.
Just be like, yeah. I do this. Actually, nowadays, $1.5 million isn't. Did you notice that they are bringing the Bionic Man back, and now he's $1 billion?
Yeah, because $1 million, you know, that's like they set my leg.
That's right.
And I got 2 titanium pins and a new hip, but that was $1 million, and I can now, you know, with a year of therapy, walk again. Sorry, I have friends.
So
who
I have my
sneeze.
Diox purple here, my quinacridone magenta, my titanium white. You see a little smidge of the phthalo blue, and that's just to remind me that in my wheel I used a tiny, tiny amount of that. So I won't forget when I go to do the wheel. All right, so I have taken my magenta, I have pulled it out. $1 million. Actually, no, that's pretty true. So I've taken a little of my magenta out, and I'm mixing it into my docs, and this is going to let me darken my sky, right? But it's going to give me some gradation. See how I'm like blending down here with this? Taking this nice kind of range of dark color down this way. This sky, like practice it because I expect to do it again as we get better at it, as we simplify it for more space, more lots of fun things. And if you don't mind getting your hands dirty, it's a real joy to do. Now, while this is having a little dry, I will definitely mist. And also, I have a bowl of water nearby so that if my paint were to dry out, that I would have it in that bowl and it would be okay. This is my cut up little sponge. I use it for textures and other things, but today it's going to be just for my magenta and my white. I'm going to grab an ample amount of my white to lighten this to a very light pink. And I'm again to push this up into where the purple is going to be. Can you guys see how I'm doing this?
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to take this up. If you've been doing space and some other things, I'm sure some of you are going to be like, man, this would have been really good to have doing that galaxy. This is actually the basis where mural artists and often decorative artists will do clouds. If you have an area that has a strong pigment, you can always come back with another side of the sponge and just blend that out. Can you see how I can do by going to the clean side of the sponge? I can also blend by doing that. Look. I don't look. You didn't show up for the painting lesson. So I'm going to continue to push this lighter pink up into this space. The reason I'm getting those little white lines is there is a bit of this on the edge of my sponge, and it just keeps picking up. But again, like I said, you just take the clean side and blend it out, and it all works out. Remembering your pressure, remembering how hard you're pressing. You're making good headway, guys.
I really like this painting, man. Pink and purple.
Love it.
And I just like the kids all playing.
Yeah. It just made me happy. And I wanted to like lead with that because that's what the kids were doing when we were touring is they were just playing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They're just playing. That's what's happening. Nothing else is really happening when they're playing. They're playing. They're all that's real really versed like doctors on what's going on in their lives, but they are just playing, you know?
Now that's super pinking up there. Is that the white there blending into that?
That is the white blending into the magenta, just really pinking it up. And that's what I like about this is you just build these layers up. If you're getting that little weird kind of patch of white, you just soft blend it with the clean side of the sponge, right? There you go. I want to put a little more down that center. So I'm going to grab some of this pink and white again. And just keep rocking this. Oh, wow, that just made a song go right into my head. But it's a Christmas song, so I won't sing it.
Christmas.
Well, I like know the beginnings of many Christmas songs.
You know, it's funny.
But not actual whole Christmas songs.
Well, yeah, you grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
Yes.
So
I'm not currently, but that is how I was raised.
And I grew up Roman Catholic. I'm not currently practicing Roman Catholic. So you know,
just how you were raised.
Just how I was raised, but so I know all the Christmas songs, and you know none of them.
I know none of them, and that was one of the funny things in our first marriage. Is like, do you know any single holiday songs all the way through? I'm like, no, not really. So do you love how that's creating that atmosphere? I do. I really love that. We're about to pop this all together. It's really cool. I actually got into this when I was in art school because I went into advertising arts. And at that time, that was the only reason that you would have used an alcohol ink marker was for advertising because the ink's very impermanent. So I had the full set of Prismacolors, the complete and unabridged set. And to get blends, I was actually one of the people who was like using the alcohol to move it across solid parchment papers. And I just remember that for this all the time. I'm like, that's just like this. Sorry, weird feeling that I have. I'm going to get some of my pure purple. See how I get my pure purple? Just my darks, which almost looks black to the eye sometimes. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to start making my night sky.
Oh, there it goes.
Nightish. And then as I come down here, I'm going to soften my blends. I don't want to take the dark purple too much past this point because I want lots of room for my kids. And then here where this edge is, I'll soften it with my clean end of the sponge. So I'll have his friend running there. You can change the gender of the kids or number of the kids. You can do anything you want to in this painting. If it's close, but it doesn't quite have the message that you want, change it up. Your painting. It's your world.
Now,
you're in charge here. Well, I'm just telling you some ways to get through.
Well, I won't advocate for cats being put in there. You can put them in.
You wouldn't advocate for a cat?
Well, you know, I'm allergic to them, so I may be a little biased. But,
little bit.
You know.
You might be.
I might be. Me and Twix are like, no cats.
No cats.
No cats. Now, I noticed it's...
rub.
I'm going to have to adjust the RoboCam down a little bit. I had to adjust its color up a bunch. Because
I'll flip over to a clean side to do a nice blend. See, I can do a nice blend here.
There we go.
It's amazing how that works. You can softly, easily blend. And we're about to get into our last little pink layer between these two spots. But they're pretty close, aren't they?
Yeah.
I might even, if it's okay to make the top of your sky quite dark. Because it would be, right?
Yeah.
As it goes up, quite dark. There's a new Aurora Borealis, John. It's purple.
Is it?
Yes. I don't know if anyone's seen it. If you haven't seen it, you should go check it out. Purple Aurora Borealis. I know we should do something about that, shouldn't we?
We should do something about that.
I don't even know what weeks we're bringing back. Like, do we bring back Shark Week this year? Do we bring back Space Week? I don't know.
Well, I definitely would like to see more Space Week.
Well, you know, personally, you would.
And I
gonna
hope
put out some
everybody
more
else does too.
Because I'm a little low on my magenta. I don't really need that much of it left because really it's only going to go once the sky's into the wheel. I'm going to go ahead and load my sponge. So notice that I'm kind of scrubbing the front. That's to maybe prevent some of that white demarcation that I was having earlier. Get coming from the edge here. Make sure it's not going to be up. See, I got it this time. You can always just make adjustments when things are giving you grief. And I'm going to come right up here up the center. And I'm going to just kind of softly make sure that this has some little blend to it. Just make sure it's just blended out. And the reason for that is that it can get really harsh between these two areas. So taking that extra attention, making sure those two spaces are soft will help for the next part. Notice I flip my sponge over to the clean end. So the questions I'm going to ask you right now. Are you remembering to flip your sponge over? Are you pressing lightly when you're blending? Are you pressing firmly when you're putting down paint? Are you making sure to soften your edges visually? So now that's a pretty atmospheric. Isn't that a nice kind of atmospheric transition between the two of them? Now, this sponge, which I loves. I'm going to get it wet. Now, I don't want it dripping. I just need it to be wet. And I'm going to go ahead. It's okay that there's some pink in here. I want some. But I'm going to let the white be pretty strong on this space. And here we go. So as I'm coming up here, I've got this here. I've kind of seated it. You can see me seating it. I'm going to come up with this very lightly. See how I'm doing?
Oh, yeah.
And it makes this soft stroke. Like this is an S stroke. I'm pressing just hardly at all. See how lightly? I'm just dry brushing with this sponge.
Gotcha.
This incredible effect that the kids are running in front of. And it's about curving this and kind of blending this up. Isn't it beautiful? I can come like this. And maybe here I'll soften this sort of in the center a bit. Like a brush stroke back and forth. Back and forth. This is sort of like a little U here. Right here. And make sure that that is beautifully designed. That's all I'm really looking for is it beautifully? See how I just did that extra little flick? These little motions, they're called gesture. They happen in line and all kinds of things in art, and they make a really wonderful effect on your painting. Make sure your sponges are either completely rinsed out, and that is a good job for a little brush to do when one is painting with mom and dad to help wash out the sponges, right? That's always good. I always like to let my kids help out washing the brushes.
Mm-hmm.
Just a feeling to have, I really just need a coffee break. So you guys know when we get to 5,000, I gotta paint as Bob Ross. I gotta dress up as Bob Ross. I'm gonna watch a Bob Ross tutorial. I'm gonna follow it, and I'm gonna do it with Bob Ross materials. I don't paint in oil.
No, I don't think I've ever seen you paint in oil. Ever.
You have not.
Yeah.
We've been married since the dawn of time. So, no. Whole thing is just ridiculous. The whole oil thing. No, just kidding. It's not. Don't write. It's not ridiculous, but it kind of is. I was reading something and it was demoing a technique and it said, and you have to wait a year before you would even consider varnishing this.
Like,
and
wow.
I just thought,
can't do that.
You have to wait a year. I do not. I'm going to wait like 4 to 6 hours for this to cure. I'm going to do my splatter now.
The splatter that's one of my favorite things.
It's one of my favorite things too.
Okay, so you have different kind of paint now.
Yes, and that's what we talked about at the beginning, success things. Now, yes, you could take a toothpick and you could dot out stars. If you had a nail dotting tool, this comes in my Galaxy set. It has like several splattering tools. You could dot out individuals. This, I know, looks like a toothbrush, but is not.
No.
And I would never put it on my teeth. In my years of painting, splatter is one of those things, like if you can master, it's a big deal, but you often would have tools that you would become familiar with that would give you a result. And then if you ever lost them, you couldn't get your splatter effect again. It was very frustrating to me. So I'm so excited to have a set that I know, like, I will get the splatter this way always in the future.
No.
So I'm going to rub and make sure I don't have any clumps of paint, right? And it's in there, and I'll show you how I'm going to splatter. You guys ready? I'm going to pull back lightly and very slowly just allow this to flick out. And that's going to give me a very light star skip. Can you guys see that light star pattern?
Yes.
Now I'm going to get slightly heavier paint on this brush. And it is a brush. This is a brush.
Yes.
It's a unique brush. This is the only one like it in the world like this. I made it with D, but it was silver brush. But I convinced him it was a very necessary tool for all artists everywhere. And it really is. So you'll find that when you get very used to this tool, you can get a small splatter and a big splatter. If you check on my YouTube channel, I have several videos about splatter and different ways to get different splatter techniques and how to use those tools and do that. So there's lots of resources. Of course, there's not one way to do a thing. This is just the way I know is very consistent and predictable.
Now, I will make
I'm going to rinse this out, but not leave it in water because it will crack, which it's going to do anyways.
As a fun thing to do, if you'll notice all around the Sherpa studio, there is a thin splatter of paint.
Stuff habits.
So,
to you.
I'm just saying, when you go to splatter, be aware of your surroundings. Yeah, just,
Now, I'm going to wait to put my falling stars in because I want to get my figures in.
Okay.
And then come back to it just in case anything changes, right? You want all the room of the canvas for your central focus, which is, of course, our narrative, the kids playing at night with the dog and having a midnight adventure. So it's a good idea to let that be in and be able to see it. And then you can put those other objects in, maybe even more objects, right? A moon, something, knowing where those figures are at. Let's dry this so we can transfer our image onto the canvas.
Okay. While she's doing that, I'll say thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. I was always so blessed to have so many of our community come and hang out with us. And we really appreciate everyone who supports St. Jude Hospital. It's one of the greatest research hospitals in the world because everything that they do, all the research, they turn over to doctors all around the world. So they open source their medical findings, making sure that all of the cures for all the diseases that they've come up with are available to doctors everywhere. So we really appreciate everything that they do, and of course, any of the families that they that are brought into St. Jude's never see a bill. They're always taken care of, and that's it's just another one of those blessed things that St. Jude does for when it cares for families who are in need like that. So thank you guys for coming and supporting and helping them. We of course are really happy all this crazy stuff to support St. Jude also. So
I love that we are. I'm gonna sip my coffee.
You sip your coffee.
Talk a little bit about transferring images. So someone in your life is going to tell you that tracing is cheating. And they'll be from art school, which always confuses me because if you're in any art history, you figure out that projection, tracing transfer is an essential and important technique to an artist. You cannot rescale things. You can't design things in confidence. If your materials are expensive, you have to have the ability to take an idea from one place to another. So I want you to think of drawing and painting as very related synergistic ideas, but they're each their own practice, right? I encourage you to take on drawing, but it is not essential. So if you're ever given that shade, that's really honestly silliness, but like going up to Michelangelo and Norman Rockwell and saying you suck because you traced.
I really think that there should be in both art history and in traditional fine art classes a course where you start on tracing. where it's like, here are the benefits, the reasons, and here's properly how to do it and apply it for both
Yeah.
scaling up, scaling down, providing perspective, reference imagery, replication of your own work. Like, how many times do you want to have to redraw this?
The only thing that's cheating in art is stealing somebody else's idea and pretending it's your own.
Yeah.
Like, and the actual image, not the technique, like the image, right? Like if you painted a Michelangelo and you pretended to be Michelangelo, that would be wrong. That would be cheating. Everything else is a technique. So when we're transferring this on, the reason that I'm using sterile paper is it's going to give me a nice fine detail so I can, the hands, which are, the idea is that we're feeling like we're flying. That's the positioning of this. And so that puts both thumbs backwards. We're flying, we're feeling the air, we're feeling amazing. And we've thrown the ball and the dog is enjoying. Everybody's just having the best time on this magical night where we see falling stars. So getting that detail will really be easier with the sterile paper. If you don't have it and you have to get transfer on there, you could probably rub your pencil on the back of your printout and get enough of an image on there that you could see it. Okay? So it's not like you're stuck there. And I have a lot of stuff. I have a video on transferring images. That is my feeling on that. So I'm going to first get my image up, and then I'll put my transfer paper up. And so this yellow side is the side that goes down, and this kind of like not as bright side is the side that faces you to get the image on. So first, find the location on your canvas that you would like this image to be, right? Don't put it up, if you put it up way high, then you're going to have to paint a lot of black. That's a big hill, right?
Oh, yeah.
So find the right spot that you feel is good. The way I painted the swirls today, it puts it at about 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom of my canvas. And this tape I'm using is in the description below. This is painter's tape. It's a low tack tape. If you can afford it, it's worth having in your art box. If you can't, take masking tape and tap it into your jeans several times. There's always a way, artists. That's what artists are. They're the we find a way people. So I'm going to put my transfer paper here and make sure that all that is under my whole image. And then I'm going to take a second piece of tape to hold this down because what I don't want is this shifting. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I definitely don't want this shifting. Everything you see here today, you should be able to find something in your area, right? If you can't get to Amazon and find it directly, that will work for you. And that's why I'm always very transparent about what I'm using. I find in tutorials that being tricky is not helpful. I mean, showing a cool trick is helpful, but not being transparent with your art materials is not helpful. You guys need to know that stuff. So
yeah.
I'm not trying to make you go out and buy it. I'm just telling you what I have. You're welcome to cross shop it.
Mm-hmm.
Please do.
You can paint with a stick.
Yeah. Do what's good for your budget.
Yeah.
Okay. I am going to take my sharpest pencil. You could do a colored pencil or something so you could see where you had been. But the basic idea of this is that I'm going to go over my important lines. Now, I'm not going to personally put in every grass and everything because I'm pretty confident with my grass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come below all my grass and kind of give myself an idea of where I'm putting my hill. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Then I'm going to transfer in my girl, my boy, and my dog, and the ball. And that's what I'm going to put here. I like this. I know everybody likes to fast forward through this part, but sometimes it's good to see the tracing happen and what the result is. Now, I'm not going to get all of the hair out because, again, like the grass, I just need to know the basic direction we're heading, and then I will just free my lines out.
Free your lines.
Huh?
Free your lines.
Free your lines. The rest will follow. Oh, no. If I ever had a spoof album, right?
Oh, my. And Cinnamon, so you guys know, I'm working on Cinnamon. I so want to have a live studio band.
I don't know where you think the band's going to come from. We can't even get stormtroopers to show up here first.
Oh, believe me, we're going to get a band here, I think, pretty quick.
I'm just trying to transfer this image as close as I can to the original, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to be perfect. And you can get the yellow off with a little bit of a damp brush with clean water. I don't have to be too specific about the wheels because I'm going to be doing the pouncer to create them. But I need to know where they are so that, I can put them in. It will be very helpful. When I was designing this, John, I have to tell you, I was like really stuck at the wheels. I read a bunch of blogs about being wheelchair enabled and what that's like and how people feel about that. You know, from the community. You know, because nowadays we have access to everybody. There's no reason to not understand where somebody else is coming from anymore.
Yeah.
You can literally just go read their blog, and you should be able to understand it and empathize. And so one of the things that I read was the idea that wheelchairs and utilities like a wheelchair need to be perceived as tools for freedom and mobility. And so I was like, how could I make those wheels feel as mobile and as joyful and everything as any other conveyance of human being? You know, whether it's legs or car or bike, like how do we do that? And that spinning just, wow, that just worked for me. So for me, that's how I got there.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of our audience that have been echoing that and appreciation for it. And several folks have said that they they've been in wheelchairs for various parts of their life and they really appreciated this. So they would like me to say thank you to you, Cinnamon.
Yes, I want to thank you guys back. I'll tell you what, everybody, don't just stop here at this painting. If you have a good art talent and you can do another, and I'm calling it parapositive, another parapositive painting and put it out on the web, it's really needed. Of all the segments of art that I looked into to see what was out there, the least was in this community. There's just not enough of it. So if you have that art skill, please put it out there. I challenge all of you. You know, it's a good thing to put out, and it's definitely, I can tell, needed. I think it's important that we have positive images of ourselves in the world. Super, super important.
Yeah.
So, and what I mean by parapositive is that means equal, so equally positive. I learned that. I did not know that. That was the thing I learned about the Paralympics.
Oh, yeah.
I had never thought about where that name had come from at all before going on this journey and reading all the blogs and going, oh, I hadn't thought the most common misconception, but I just hadn't thought would be a more accurate way of perceiving that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes if it's not in your experience, you may not think about it. Doesn't mean you don't care. Doesn't mean that you don't have respect and understanding. It just means you're not aware.
It's tough when you're made aware of something and you don't change.
Oh, I don't get that at all.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blogs about the 10 things you should not say to somebody who's in a wheelchair. And I thought, man, this must be a problem for there to be this many blogs out here.
Well, I can only imagine. There's it's the more awareness that I have to things, the more, I'm like, well, man, that seems completely obvious to me. So,
Yeah.
And, it's such a human journey is what I'll say. It's such a human journey that everybody has their own experience. So.
And I think it's important that we're all compassionate to each other's human journeys. Like, even when we don't know something we should know, let's be compassionate about that, because it's from compassion that we can change how we are. Now, and what we're being.
I'm going to have you, if you notice right over there on your top of your screen, it would appear that there is a little 5 in front of the number over there. It would appear that Cinnamon is going to be,
I believe. Every day's a good day if you paint. I believe. It'll bring a lot of good things to your life. Everybody Melody Sheep right now.
If you haven't checked out the Melody.
So exciting. Yeah. Guys, I have already been emotionally shopping. I got the hat that I'm going to embellish. I found the shirt that I'm going to wear. I've got all kinds of decor and things. You guys don't know that I have the chia pet. I have the both bobbleheads. I have the game, the coloring book, the calendar, and the sayings, plus the unofficial biography. So I might be into this topic more than people know.
So it's really amazing. I would have to say thank you to all of our community who've helped us get to this place. I'm just pulling up our updated list here so that because we've just had some really generous donations here, and my text is just too small for me to be able to read everything right now. So
you guys are making a big difference. Every time that you support St. Jude, whether you're supporting them by retweeting one of their posts, that's support, right? Following your Facebook page and sharing that in your community, that is support. If you mention them in your office pool when they're thinking about what to do, that's support. And then, of course, if you're able to come in and financially help them, what you're doing is you are actively punching cancer and illness that harms children in the face. Every medical show that you've ever seen, my mom watches them like a crazy person, is not as cool as what I saw at St. Jude. Their doctors are better looking and more amazing and faster.
Now,
and I'm not even exaggerating. Like, I watched him go up and down the hall, and I was just thinking, that guy can't be human. He cannot have gotten a medical degree.
Now, see, this is what I was trying to check out. I thought that I saw a Sherpa who was in chat who said, "How close are we to getting Cinnamon over the edge? So I'm going to go push it over the edge." And she did. It was Nacia.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I hope I'm saying her name correctly.
Wow.
Mrs.
Thank
Oberlin.
you
And
for
so
pushing
thank
us
you.
over the edge.
She just did. She just came down and she was like, "I'm going to throw down 300 and just do it." Bang! Threw you right over.
You are a power player.
Art, high fives to you. Thank you so much. And we've had many, many, many large, generous donations.
Some kid is going to get some home-cooked meal from their hometown from those executive chefs because of what you did right there. You can't even imagine. It might be the first meal that they've had in 6 weeks. Real meal. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's one of the things, like they have the list of things, but that's my favorite thing that they do is they are there waiting 24 hours a day for these kids to be able to eat.
Yeah, this is, as you guys can tell, we're very passionate about what St. Jude does. And we really, really appreciate you guys coming together and helping support them. It really means a lot to us, so thank you very much.
Now, I'm going to get the big areas in with this brush because I don't want to spend a lot of time with a teeny tiny detail brush where I don't need to. So this is a number 6 bright, you know, an 8, a 6, a 4, just something that doesn't make you work so hard to paint in the bottom of your canvas, right?
I'm gonna try again. I think it's Nicia.
Is it?
I think so.
I'm just, you know what, girl, that I'm like so grateful to you.
I'll just keep trying until I get it right. Thank you.
All right. So I'm going to be putting this back in once I do the twist on the, uh-oh, I went too high with my black paint. I got so touched by these. That's okay, I fix it. So it's not dry yet, and I went a little too high, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it away. See how I'm doing?
You're erasing.
Sometimes when I make a mistake, if the paint underneath is well dry and cured and attached, and the paint on top is not, I can use a good brush and just remove the pigment. Isn't that awesome?
That's neat.
And I really only need to worry about a little bit in front of here where that foot is because we're going to have grass and things coming up. So that's how I would get that down. You just see I just keep working until it's down. Once it's dry, you have to paint over it, but before it's dry, you can do this. Isn't that cool? Now I will come down here and just go a little bit lower because I just want a little more room between the dog's paw and the grass. I'm going to paint all this in. Considering the size of the detail brush I'm going to be using to paint the rest of this in, you definitely want to be using something a little bigger, whatever you've got in your box. It could be a round. It could be anything. You just want to be able to fill this in. And I personally would recommend on a painting like this, especially if it's going somewhere important, a couple coats of your black to get a beautiful, even coverage on your silhouette. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Nicia is just amazing. Thank you. And you guys are amazing. I have seen so much support and love for St. Jude on all the social media. You know, I'm part of a team. It's called Derp Squad. It was started by a internet celebrity and really video game celebrity, Trade Chat. And she is just fantastic. She started this several years ago and invited me in last year. And I'm so grateful to be a part of it. Really grateful to her and to the whole team. Derp Squad.
Derp Squad.
They're mostly gamers. But there's some artists, and and like I have friends that have come and joined. You may have noticed Stephanie and Mark Bergeron. Their channels are also on the Derp Squad. Tanya of Tartan Taz Creates is on the Derp Squad. Stephanie of How You Back is on the Derp Squad. I saw Art by Esther A on the Derp Squad. So we have some Derp Squad, and guess who else? May May and Melody Lane, and they are doing a big live event for it. So I am really appreciative to everybody who took this seriously and came on board to help us. Many hands make light work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I got to dry this.
Again?
Because I don't want the black to go into my twirl.
No. We do
I want
not
that twirl
want
to be
to
very
compromise
bright
the twirl.
and magical, like very magical.
Yes.
So to do that, I need really bright pigments. I'm going to dry everything really well. That way, when I do my twist, it's like, wazam!
I'll tell them about
Can
drying.
you get with me?
Yeah.
Wazam!
Wazam!
I'm going to be Sasquatching, John.
Okay.
I'm squatching.
Okay.
I'm doing this now as an activity. It's now my new verb. What are you doing? Squatching. Squatching.
You got to be an X fan and even know what that means.
Yeah, but everyone should be an X fan. So.
Okay. Let me go see if we can turn her on. I didn't push the audio button. Okay, there she goes. Okay. So, if you're at home and you're drying your canvas, some important things to know, or you're bored or whatever your substrate is, acrylic can be responsive to heat. So air moving over it speeds the curing. It's drying is a little bit of a misnomer. Acrylic paint does have water evaporating out of it, but it's curing, which is a chemical process by which it bonds to itself. So that curing process, it can be sped up with the air moving over it, but you don't want to add heat because heat can discolor and cause shrinkage and things like that. So be careful to have your lowest heat settings and just have the air moving over that to help dry it.
Yeah, you can get away with a lot with like Golden and Holbein and some of the high-end paints, but some of the student paints you cannot get away with a lot.
Yeah, so it's just best to use your lowest heat setting and gently blow across the canvas to let it dry. Okay, yeah, it's pretty rugged actually stuff.
All right, so I'm going to show you another fix because I let another boo-boo dry here so I can show you the other way. So say you get there and you didn't know. What you would do is you would take your white and a smidge of your pink. You don't have to do it so perfect here because we have so many blades of grass. But if I needed to lower some of this hill, right here, look what I could do. Now, when I put my grass in, you probably won't even see this, but that's the other way, is allowing the paint to dry and just painting over it. I just wanted to show you guys that.
This is the many layers of acrylic.
Well, and here's what it is on some paintings, I will either accidentally just make a mistake and have an accident like I did here, but sometimes I will intentionally do one so you can understand how we would fix it if it happened to us, because it can happen to anybody. Now I've got a little of my white paint here.
Sasquatch happens.
Squatching. I have insomnia.
You guys wouldn't believe I woke up at 2 a.m. and there I am looking at Fox Mulder and I'm like, what is going on?
It's the best thing ever. What you doing, Mulder? Squatching.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Yes, me too. I'd go squatching. Right now. I'm going to put just very little of that on there. I'm also going to move over the little bit of my pink that I have. I'm going to take some of it and put it aside. There's a reason why. I'm going to show you a cool trick. So here is my pouncer. And the cool thing about my pouncer is these are removable, so they're easily washed. They have a engraved, so your hands, like if you have some hand issues, it will relieve a little bit of the pain. And then there's the hole, so if they do get stuck, you can push them back out, even if they're dried. So to load the pouncer, I'm going to come right into this white plop of paint. And look, I'm going to twirl. Already you can see the wheel beginning to happen. See how that's twirling? And it's interesting because it's not necessarily over every single part of the sponge. I'm going to put a little more down. You don't need to have it that thoroughly coated for these to work for the bokeh. They'll do stencils and all the other things you expect a pouncer to do. It's just these are the best at doing this technique, which I'm seeing everywhere now, John. Everybody has bokeh bubbles now. It's so cool.
Well, because they're good and nice things to
so
do.
Cool. It's just weird to see yourself influence a whole thing.
It's true.
So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to get some pink on here. See, I've got a nice little mix of pink. And then I'm going to take, you can do this with a brush. What we got here? I'm going to take a little bit of that there. And I think I'm going to want a little bit on the inside of the wheel. We haven't really done this where we've used these tools very intentionally. Are you guys tripping on how intentionally we're using this?
Yeah.
So you can do a test on a piece of paper and twirl. Make sure you've got a good spin. If you don't have enough white, here is my tip. See, I checked my spin. You can do what I just did and make sure.
Can you bring that into the camera there a little bit more?
You can do it. You can just put some more white on there.
Okay.
See, and then when I spin, I can get the white into the twirl. There we go. So the first one I twirl is right up front, right here. And I'm going to go twirl. That's the forward-facing wheel. It's really interesting because you do the forward-facing wheel, and then you come back and you do the wheel in perspective. And I'm going to press in, and I'm just twisting. See?
Yeah.
I'm just twisting. Once that's in, I can go in, definitely put your sponge in some water. You don't want it drying with a bunch of stuff on it, right? That would not be good for it. That would not be good. Actually, I'm going to pass my sponges off so I don't lose them completely to my studio fairy. Thank you. And so once I have that in, that gives me a little leg up on my perspective that I've got to do. If you want to make any changes, you can just take a brush and you can come in. I would get like a small braid or one of my filberts. I'll use like this little filbert here. And just dry brush, like I've got a little white in here. So you can dry brush also. A little bit of motion. Can you guys see how I'm doing that?
Yeah.
And then even here, I can dry brush a little bit of motion. So if there's an adjustment you need to make, something wasn't exactly perfect for how you want it, don't stress on that. Don't worry, be happy. I love the noise of a brush against the glass. Like, love it. Love it.
Me too.
So I think I'm going to do the rest of this with my small detail tools. And what these are is these all have tiny little points. Like this is a 0. This comes in the Galaxy set. If you have Galaxy set, you're hooked up. These are my open stocks. So this is my number 1. I've got my 3/0 and I've got my filbert. They're all short-handled, so it's good if you're sitting at a table. And they do detail work. I'm going to start with my filbert and my glasses, which I left at the desk.
Oh, this is the danger of an untethered Sherpa, is that, you know, she got these new yeah, she just goes, meow, and off she goes.
You got to see the details, and sometimes you need a little aid to do that. And these have been splattered.
Yes.
So I can't really see out of them that well.
This is how the Sherpa...
John would come by and pull these right off my face. He's like, you can't see anything. I'm like,
no,
but I'm
no.
wearing my glasses. He's like, no.
No, I mean,
you
like...
can't see.
It's like once the lens has been obscured by more than 50% of the transparency, and they're now a neutral density filter, they're no longer, like, you know... I for the most of my life, I was a glasses wearer. So I have clean glasses, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing for John.
But then I got LASIK surgery, and
now not.
And then all of a sudden not, and that was like a huge thing for me.
So what I'm doing here is I know where my grass is. I don't really have to paint the whole circle. I just need to make sure that these feel somewhat rollable. No Flintstone wheels.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to remember this is art, and no one's going to judge your painting. And if they do, they're having a moment, and that's not your fault.
And yeah, if they are, then it's like it's them and not you. Trust me.
It's totally them. It's not you. So we're going to come around here, and we're going to try to just make sure we have a nice little wheel. Tuck forward. Thank you. In perspective. That's amazing. Thank you. Doesn't have to be perfect. You just want to be able to say, hey, this is happening, and you can kind of see both of these right here, and then I can come and put my little hill back in, as you do, just so I can see where I'm at. And you can see very quickly it starts to be those two wheels, and so that's very helpful. Now I'm going to come in, and I'm going to come to the center. I'm going to make a little circle here Doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to also make little motions. See what I'm doing? Curving, following the direction of the spin.
Oop.
That's all we're doing.
Oh my gosh, I was on the wrong camera when you were putting those in.
Okay, so I'm just curving around the direction of the spin.
I was totally sorry. I was looking at the wrong screen.
They know, and they have the reference photos. So they're okay. So I'm going to paint in. I'm not going to do the hands with this brush. I'm going to have to get my detail brush out for the hands. But I'm going to paint the young boy in his silhouette as much as I can. Leave the tiny, tiny little detail bits to your best detail brush. Right?
Yes.
And also remember, the perfection of hand painting isn't where a painting is good or not. It's just a thing in a painting. The perfection of a painting is in the intent that you have when you create it. Everything else is just skills that you're developing. But you have to change the rules. When Chuck Close became paralyzed, and he had been one of the great realistic, hyper-realistic painters of his age. In fact, I would say he is, to me, the father of the movement. But he was told, he wouldn't be able to move the same way. That wasn't going to be happening anymore. And so he had to change the rules about what he was setting in front of himself as being his art, his good art. And it had to stop being about being able to do the micro details and about the bigger picture. So remember that for yourself. If it's good enough for Chuck, it's good enough for you. Right? I'm just going to come down and paint in the little shoe. I like to lift up for a little bit of a heel so you can see that. Just so that, not that I think somebody would necessarily have this heel, like this kid's wearing cowboy boots. But it just helps the viewer understand what they're looking at. Sometimes too. See? When you have the little heel, then you know it's a shoe. Weird thing. And maybe he's a stylish kid. I don't know.
Well, style, I tell you what, I have seen some pretty fly chairs out there.
This is true.
So, I would have to say that if I had a chair, it would be like probably pretty decked out too.
Overpowered.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I remember this one guy.
I would never let John have a power.
There's
power mobility adaptation. No.
No, I didn't really get to meet him, but there's this cat that I would see regularly in San Francisco going back and forth, and he had a regular pushchair, but underneath it he had a big battery setup and this huge speaker box, and like every day I'd catch him just rolling back and forth to work, and like he had this awesome speaker box, and it was just so. I just remember seeing like, yeah, if I was having to be in the city,
I think like
it would be decked out too.
We should all celebrate ourselves, right?
Yeah. No, I would totally deck mine out that way.
We should absolutely do that. I have full on support that. We should decorate, celebrate, jump up and down. If you have something that makes it so you can get where you need to go and you have freedom, that's totally worth decorating, celebrating, and blinging out. Lots of personality.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm not going to paint his face in. I want my detail for that. I'm going to get just enough of the face moving forward so I can put the little micro features in, but like his fingers, I want to use my more detailed tool. I'm just painting the paddle end of the hand so I can just put the fingers in easily. I love the dog. It's always challenging on the show, John, when we paint a dog. Because everybody has a different breed of dog. And they all want their breed of dog painted.
It's the every dog.
Yeah, so I was like, can I just mutt my dog up?
Yeah, it's like
You just gotta mutt your dog up. I almost did little energetic spins around the ball. Like you might want to. How is everybody doing? Are you painting this in okay?
Yes.
You taking deep breaths? So I would say the biggest danger of doing this painting is if you're doing it for a highly charged emotional reason, right? And if you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself for a particular result, And that can happen sometimes if there's not enough art in the world to talk about a certain subject. We can put a lot of pressure on ourselves. I certainly did, to do something a particular way. But if you're in the student place, I want you to avoid doing that. It's okay for me to put pressure on myself because I have a lot of skills. I'm a teacher. I have that responsibility to be thinking about. But as a student, pressure doesn't really play a benefit to your art journey, which is why I don't do critiques. This doesn't help you at this stage. If it did, I would totally do it.
It's true. At this point, we just need to be celebrating and dancing for our success.
That's right. You just need to be painting and creating and realizing that that is a worthwhile thing to be doing in your life.
And know whenever you drop a beat on the Sherpa, she's got to dance. So you go, and see, there she goes.
That's actually really true. I was in my youth that girl that would be on the dance floor before anybody got on it.
And it's like I'm yeah.
Yeah. John remembers.
I was there.
Not being on the dance floor.
Not being on the dance floor, but very, very happily looking at my dancing girlfriend.
It would be always. I used to be an action Sherpa.
Yeah. I have a
I mean, that's what you do in art school, right? Like, you study and practice all day, and then you go out at night.
Yeah.
That's what I did.
And I have social anxiety, so you couple that with being with a really pretty girl, and that's like,
And I love you that you feel that way. I'm just being careful around the paws. Again, be relaxed with yourself. You can always look at dog paws if you're like, I just need to make sure that this is right and this is what I'm trying to paint. But, be easy with yourself. There's no point in being stressed. I love doing this little hair flick there. It's going to be so fun for the panda tomorrow. Panda's going to have some new stuff if I can get it done. Everybody's really going to like, he needs a tail. He's not a Sheltie. But he could be. If you're painting a Sheltie, stop here. This is pretty cute. But I'm going to go ahead and give him a little tail.
Docked or undocked, you could go either way. And if
That's how I did the tail. I just do a little line up and then I just use my little brush and let it does the work for me. The brush does the work.
Can you show Vanessa here how to not overload your fine detail brush?
Yes. Let me rinse out.
Okay.
So let me have a coffee. I'm going to talk a little bit about fine detail brush success tips. We're going to be looking at these in the new. Wait, did I say it wrong?
No.
I probably did.
I don't know. I was
Were you
thinking
ready for
about
that? You weren't. Catch it.
I was thinking about escaping to get more coffee. So you can. I'm going to leave you here. I'm going to abandon you to talk.
Got my
with your cutie glasses on.
Dude, this makes me feel like I could be a member of the advanced style community when I get there. Like maybe I could go on a color walk when I do things like this. I'm like, this is my Grey Gardens. Because if my mom and I did not have men in our lives, we would so be Grey Gardens. It would really be the truth. That would be us, wouldn't it, John? I would be Edie all the way. For sure. I have the crazy family background to back that up, too. So, you got to hope that I won't go full Grey Gardens. All right, detail brushes. So, one, when you're trying to get fine lines, right, you need a brush that's the right brush for what you're doing. It can be hard to find a detail brush for your medium. If you have watercolor, you're going to need a brush that's going to pull up the right amount of water and be soft enough and release it onto the paper. If you're in craft paint, you're going to want like a Taklon or, that type of synthetic fiber. I find that you get beautiful lines from the long filaments, but you get more control over the short ones. And finding a brush that gives you a hair detail is this. You've got to have the good fluid paint. You need to be able to lighten your pressure, and you need a good brush. And you can practice lightening your pressure on like a practice sheet. Like go to a sheet of paper, take your detail brushes and your paint and see how fine a line can you get. The other thing is rinse out often, and when you rinse out, dry off on a towel because there's always a drop of water hiding somewhere on your brush. And wipe off often because you don't want any of that drying on your brush, and your detail brushes are not going to live as long as your bigger brushes. So that's what you got to know. See how this brush really has like a lot of the paint in it. All right. So I'm going to rinse it out. And I'm going to show you here. See, there's just tons and tons of drops. So I can't just stop at rinsing. I've got to absolutely pull this out. Is John back yet? No, he's not back. I don't know where he went. Oh, okay. He just needed some coffee. I was showing them something and you weren't here, so I'm going to show him again.
Sorry. Show me again.
All right, so I'm going to show you again. So
okay. Sorry.
There was a lot of black paint in it. So there was just a lot. You can still see it's at the ferrule, though.
Okay. I'm going to do this.
There's a lot of black paint, and I need to rinse it out. So I'm going to take it to my water. I'm going to rinse. But when I rinse.
Let me get that. I'm zooming it in so they can see the detail of that.
All right.
Wherever you're at there.
All right. Okay. So are they seeing it?
I can zoom in even more.
Okay. That'll be good.
All
right.
Forward.
Okay, here?
Yeah.
All right. So you're just wanting to see this dark discoloration. That's the pigment going into the ferrule. That's what's going to be blowing out your detail brush over time. You're going to rinse in the cup. Rinse. And then you're going to need to definitely wipe out, because can you guys see all the drops that are on this brush? There's always drops hiding, so you need to wipe out. When you're loading onto the brush, you're going to come to the edge of your paint, and you're going to get, it's like a little micro motion of what I'm always doing into it. So see how I'm just going in there? It's just on the tip. It's still going to move up, and I'm going to have to offload and wipe off it. So when I'm coming over here, I have a nice ample amount, but see how I can get like that one hair from this brush? That is, my hand is resting on my easel, so it's steady. And I'm just trying to barely connect with what I'm touching. Can you guys see how that does that?
Yeah.
So I could actually probably even get my grass and everything with my number 2. My number 2 here, Filbert, is not typical of detail brushes.
Not typical.
No. There are not many good detail brushes, as many miniature painters will attest to.
Oh, yeah.
And they don't last long. And so this particular company that I'm now with, I've actually painted with for years. See, I'm going up. But as I'm going up, as I'm loading, can you guys see? Let me see if I can show you. It's creeping up. As I load new paint, it pushes the old paint up the brush. You can now see that the pigment has wicked with the water up into the ferrule. Which means my next time I load, I need to do a rinse out and a reload. Is that helpful, guys?
Very.
Sometimes it's hard to know that stuff. Just painting in her arms. So I'm going to answer a question. I'm going to rinse out that I got. I only got it one time, but I always, when I feel like I get a question, see, I got to wipe that off. I'm from one person. I know other people may also have that question, but be too shy to ask. So I'm going to answer it, even though it was one question. I was asked why I had the girl pushing the young boy.
Oh, yeah.
And my reason was, when I was designing this, is that when you watch kids play together, if there's anything that is a conveyance, they always work in pairs like this. And if there were a hill, if you take out the utility of being a wheelchair, if you're taking a hill in a wagon, there would be a child in there with the hands up.
Yeah.
And another one who would have a hold of the little handle trying to keep it from all going wrong.
And I think the acknowledgement is that not that anyone who is in any kind of appliance or apparatus needs help, but I think that these two children are playing together. That
they're playing, and it's not an obstacle to that very natural, organic play that kids have.
Yeah. That
is what that was. So that was something that you were wondering. That is the thinking. But if it's been a struggle for you in your life, because I understand this isn't my life experience.
No.
So if it's been a struggle and that is somehow not empowering to you, just change the position.
And
it's okay to do.
I'm a boy, and so I'm gonna, a little come back into my life. I remember growing up as a kid. I had a friend, Chris, who had a glass eye.
Yeah.
And well, we were 12-year-old boys, and he had a glass eye, and he could pop it out on will.
Oh my gosh.
Well, of course it was something that he would do like like all the time, and like to freak people out or
Yeah.
intentionally, because we were boys. But
Well, girls will do it too.
I imagine too.
I mean,
And
how many people pulled a noodle through their nose? You just do stuff as
and
kids.
so like it was not an obstacle at all to him at all. He just was like, I remember being a kid. It was just like that was. I mean,
That was the thing he did to
he
crack
did
up
it
his
to me the
friends.
first time and totally just was like, gotcha. And I was like, oh my gosh,
I had a
man.
friend that did unsafe combustible things with his own body gas. So, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to encourage any kids to also do it. If the kids don't know, but y'all know what I mean.
Yeah. So
Right? And he used to do that. We all have things as a kid we want to do. We want to make sure that we show that side of that kids are kids.
Totally. And I think that I mean, like we all have these human experiences, and these appliances are great equalizers.
But we're still human.
Yeah.
We're still the same goofballs. It just, all that stuff still applies.
Yeah. And it's so unique for each person on how they find strength through that experience.
Well, and I think for all of us as we're going through our life experience.
And
And
how
who
you
knows
find that
what's going to be in the
empowerment.
future? You keep talking about the singularity and nanotech, so.
Well, I believe there'll be a time when we can't see past on technology. I don't know what that'll mean.
So
But
see how it's gotten right here? It's really creeped up. It's starting to not perform. Another thing I can do is wipe it out. See, I'm wiping it out and then reload. That's why you see those strokes. If you're wondering what all this hot mess is, this is me wiping out and reloading. That's what's happening. Sorry, I just want to make sure everybody gets the painting while we're waxing philosophically about the nature of the human species.
well, I think that that's the thing that we love. I know I do. I love this is the most fulfilling job I've ever had, to be able to come here and hang out with all of you guys and be part of this greater human experience. So thank you.
Very much, thank you.
So were you just painting with your little brush there, now that we're like
I am.
we're on that philosophical.
I am. I just got to painting and relaxing and breathing and.
There's actually, I think it's called the 7-minute lull or something. There's actually a whole psychology that goes into conversational science.
Really? I'm going to have to look that up now.
Yeah, no, it's like at 7 minutes, everybody stops talking because there's like, it's time to change subjects. And so it's like, it's a thing. And conversational flow. I don't know. I read about it once, thought it was neat.
You read a lot of stuff. You watch a lot of stuff.
I do. I like
That's my very own Mulder.
I like TEDx.
I gotta. Oh my gosh, I love TEDx.
And pretty much anything that
Oh, see now I went too deep and look what happened there.
Oh, it
When
happened.
I grabbed my pen, I got too deep, so I have a lot of it. And that'll happen. Sometimes you just overbite your paint. You take too big a bite. So now past here, right? This could be short hair. That could be short hair flying out behind, but I'm gonna rinse out. I'm going to paint this ball with this brush, and then I'm going to get into my details. So see, I did that wipe off. Got to do the wipe off. I'm going to get this little bit of paint here loaded up on the tip. I am going to put the ball in. This actually, for me, is the most challenging part of the painting. That circle is really hard for me. Now, rinse, 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 rinse. I have these falling stars, right? And I have my figures in enough to make arrangements. I can be letting everything dry. And the reason why it can be a good strategy to let things dry before you get into the harder detail work is so that if you do rest your hand, if you do drag your hand, it's dry and you're not dragging paint that you worked very, very, very hard to put down. And I know right now, I see you working hard. I know you are. You know I'm talking to you. You're sitting in the room going, is she talking to me? I am talking to you from your big casting screen. You may be working very hard. So just take a minute. This is art. It's going to be okay. Canvas isn't going to explode. Right? It's not going to tear a hole into another dimension. So really, all that's going to happen is that you're going to make a paint. I'm going to sip my coffee.
Sip.
I've had too much coffee in my lull.
I don't think there's such thing as too much coffee. I mean, I have my coffee.
Not for me.
I have warm coffee, or I'm going to sip mine.
Do y'all remember in the original Indiana Jones when his girlfriend was like drinking all those like people under the table?
Mm.
If you made that coffee, that would be me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody else like falls to the jitters way early in the night.
I'm
like,
right
can
there
I
with
drink coffee till midnight? Yes, I can. No, that's not what I'm having. Some
Captain
stress.
Janeway, man. She had it right. You can't do anything before coffee, but with coffee, I'll take on the Klingons, Borg, Romulan. You got it. We're done.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, me too. Starship captain with coffee.
Yeah.
Red shirt without.
Give me a Voyager class ship, cup of coffee, and some photon torpedoes. I'll take on the Borg. I'm up there.
We may be getting a lot of new viewers who are like, who are these people and why they're here? I should have warned them at the beginning, but if you're still here, at least you bought in. But you may be confused. We're goofs.
Yes.
I just teach art really well, but we are complete goofs.
Yep.
So that's the price of the channel.
That is the price of attendance is you have to put up with our
stuff.
with just us. So
Now I'm going to grab my dotting tool and I'm going to place in some big focal stars. I'm going to use my white paint that I splattered with and I'm going to load up and I'm going to try to make sure that I have a nice balance. There's a hair on there. And I'm going to drop one down here. Maybe one that's further. Don't line them up. Try to kind of stagger their positioning. So I've got one here, and one here. Right, and I think I need one more. I think this one is this one. I need a bigger one that's maybe like right there.
you know,
And then one that's back here, but I don't want to line it up with that one, so I've got to go forward. I need to find its own place in the sky. And that's what I'll be looking for when I'm looking. I'll get back into my, whoop, I dropped that dotting tool.
and I love what Neil deGrasse Tyson said about stars and paintings.
Yeah, I did too. If you haven't watched that video, totally should. I think we're going to do a watch party with it. I found it. I just have to watch it and make sure that it's what I think it is because of that Jim Carrey thing that happened. So I'm going to go to the furthest star. I'm going to anchor my wrist, and I'm going to drag back. I didn't mean to interrupt, babe.
Oh, no, you're not interrupting. You're painting. We're talking.
And the anchor of my wrist allows me to kind of curve the tail of this falling star. You guys see that?
I'm catching that.
Yeah, there we go. Isn't that nice?
That really is. And where are you going next?
I'm going to go to this little star. What I try to do is just avoid dragging my hand into wet paint. And so I got a plan because John hears me over here all the time where I will have accidentally drug my hand into wet paint. Having feelings about that. So my paint is creeping at my brush. I'll offload and get a little more. And unless this is a nice big guy, so.
Yeah, but Mr. Tyson, he said that he really enjoyed seeing the artist's feelings about the stars, because you can go up and look at the stars anytime, but how the stars make you feel is what's important.
I love that. That was the best talk. Was that a TED Talk? What was that?
That dude is just, he's part philosophical comedian, part genius, part really educated, jack of all trades. So, I mean, I don't know what to call him. I have a huge respect for the guy.
He's the guy who demoted Pluto.
He did not demote. He just single-handedly led the charge for it. I will, Pluto and
don't be that guy. Makes me so mad.
Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm not mad at Tyson. Please don't write him.
Not a Kuiper belt object. No, I'm just kidding.
So this is really just about. See how that wrist curve allows me to make that nice curve. That's how I get that.
More dorkery. Sorry.
Now I'm gonna dry brush and make smaller, dispersed little stars that are happening around, and by making them lighter, right? It makes them further away. So if you have to wipe off the paint off your brush, you can do that. But you're just trying to talk about these other objects falling to Earth in the middle of this meteor shower, right?
Mm-hmm.
John knows what all these things are called.
With falling objects from space?
Yep.
Well, a lot of it's space junk.
This is not. These are magical. They're going to have superpowers and be a new team for Marvel. I would say DC, but then I'd have to listen to John complain about DC for an hour or so.
Hey, look, Marvel said it. I mean, like, Marvel mocks DC better than I could, so.
Marvel mocks everybody better than anybody could.
That was awesome.
I
You're
want to
so
grow
dark.
up and be Stan Lee.
You must be a DC character.
That would be just like my dream. Be Stan Lee. All right, so when you have a nice meteor shower in, which we now have, isn't that exciting, that energy of all of that?
It really is. Now,
Rinse this out
she
and
was
then get a
asking,
smaller brush for the hairs.
Diana was asking, what tool is that you use to start the big shooting stars? What, that dabbing tool
It
you're using?
fell under my desk, sweetheart, but it comes in. Wait, is there another one? There's another one. So many. So I have brushes that I made and designed in partnership with Silver Brush Limited. And one of the sets that I really, really am so glad that they believed in me about and backed me on was the Galaxy set, because I need splattering tools, this being one of them. It is a lot like a nail dotting tool, but I really like it, and it has the two sizes that I always want, and then if you use it in combination with the other splattering tools, you can pretty much make surf or any little splatter designs that you need to, sand, rocks, skies, everything. So I've got this. I need to make sure this is really, really rinsed out. You could use a toothpick if you're really, really, or the back of your brush if you really, really just don't have that here and you're in the middle of painting it right now. Is someone calling for us?
That would be Luna and Spider playing House.
Okay. All right. So I've got this brush. This actually comes in that Galaxy set. This is a number 0 round. I'm going to go ahead and get a little of my paint back on it. You notice that I put out fresh paint. The reason I did that is in the heat and dry of the studio, this begins to skin, and as soon as it begins to skin and thicken, it just doesn't perform as well. And I'm going to come here and I'm going to try to figure out how I'm going to get a nice line coming off her hair for her hair.
There was some mediation behind the scenes happening. That's why Cinnamon got quiet and she was laughing as she
I
heard.
was just seeing if it was like, I'm sorry guys, I got to stop the show and go parent some children.
Yeah. My little Luna came in and was like, we have a philosophical disagreement over these Legos, and would you settle it for me? Now, she said it in 6-year-old speak, but, you know, we were able to settle the dispute, and the Legos can be used for their intended purpose of Legoing.
I'm rinsing out, I'm drying off. You know, you can definitely come down and have the hair be wonderful and crazy. It really isn't a right or wrong, right? Hair is very movey. It moves around.
Now, there's a really good question that's I'm gonna.
And I'm gonna start my grass, and you can see I just use this detail brush to make blades, and I curve them, and much like those shooting stars. And then I'm gonna answer the question, John. I wasn't trying to interrupt.
No, it's good. I'm gonna say this one for you because this is a good one at the end.
So I'm just showing you guys. See how I'm just curving this, and I break up the curve.
Wow, that just just disappears. The little mistake there. You can't even tell where it was coming from.
No, it'll just go away. Now I can rinse this out. I can fill in that hill so that boo-boo goes away. And you can ask me the question.
So
I'll use this thicker paint because it's not important at this point.
Tracy was saying that she really needs brushes that are not going to wear out and break. Will our brushes not wear out and break?
All brushes wear out and break, sweetie.
That's
Unless you're painting watercolor. If you need the brushes not to wear out and break, watercolor, you could probably gift your brush to a grandchild. Acrylic is damaging to brushes. My brushes are resilient.
And it's
tremendously resilient for the market and hold up, but you're going to have to get a practice of brush repair, and I don't even care what brush line you're with, right? You're going to have to get good at fixing your ferrules, good at fixing the shape of your brush, reshaping your brushes, doing the spa, good at getting paint out, good at all of that sort of maintenance and care, and they will go much longer if you can do that, whatever you're painting with. But you're going to have to accept that sometimes your brushes are going to need to be replaced because acrylic gets into the ferrule no matter what you do, and it starts to build up like it can in your pipes, And over time, it's going to blow out your brush. Now, that's
Drain
going to
pipes,
become
yeah.
a cloud brush, and you're not going to be sad.
And the surface can wear out the edges of the brushes and bristles tips because it's much more aggressive.
Yeah, your surfaces can wear your brushes down. Heck, they can wear your palette knives down. Like yellow ochre paint could wear your... You got to paint a lot for a while before you run into these problems. And then they're not really problems because you get used to a brush and you start to adjust to that. What I would say that my brushes are is the brush design for acrylic paint that's heavy bodied, right? Yeah. So it's ready to handle the firm, textural nature of heavy body paint and really push it around. And I love it for that. And there is nothing like my Galaxy Pouncer. But just know you will replace brushes.
Mm.
You can elongate their life a lot with care. Have rubbing alcohol around your house. That gets dried paint out and is very necessary for all artists in their brush care.
That was really good. That was really great.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, no, it was.
Oh, okay.
That was really exactly what we wanted to know there. So
it's just something to know. I mean, I'm really good at reshaping my brushes, but you know,
I just saw that we were really close to getting this wrapped up, and I wanted to make sure we got that.
That you got that one in?
Yeah.
No, I appreciate that. All right, let me get my glasses on so I can see these hands because I got to put these little hands in, and I got to put a little face in, right? So I'm gonna come right here, and I'm gonna
some butterflies
and little flowers. I'm going to give myself a nice little nose. Beep, beep, beep. And I'm going to give myself some nice little lips. Now, a little trick about keeping kids looking young. If their features are closer together, they look young. The more you elongate their features, the older they look.
Oh, that's a good tip. I would not have thought of that.
Yeah. Especially in art. Pulling out one little finger. And another little finger. It looks like they're going Deadpool. It's an art reference if you're not familiar. It just means I'm turning the fingers out in their curve. All right, so both hands would be facing back, right? Let's make sure we have a backward facing thumb, and then we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to try to give them some fingers. Don't pick on yourself too much for this. It's a small detail piece, right? Back up from the room. If it looks good from across the room, you're good. This is just what we're doing. He's just having fun and coming down the hill. Now, normally what I would do is I would have my paint very close to me on some type of surface so that I wasn't having to reload often. And I would also have my...
Oh, but Studio 2.0.
Yeah. Take a little flower here like you do.
And actually, we're gonna be I'm like, there's a couple things that like we have on our to-do list, but man, I've just got to get in there. I'm gonna start poking some stuff up in there pretty quick here.
Adding some little flowers. That's what you do when you want a little flower. You go flower, 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 flower. Blink.
Bloop.
Bloop. And it helps to make the noise. Yes, it does.
I like the noises.
You know, you can look at, there's a lot of silhouettes online you can look at to get ideas of the types of plants maybe that you want there if you want to make this look more like an area where you live, right? I just find it's good to make these little kind of random little lines, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. But you do what you like to do too. You don't have to do exactly what I do. I'm just here to help you through and find your way and remind you not to be too hard on yourself. This is art. You don't know where it's going to take you. You know, you don't know how it's going to impact your life. I like that right there. Putting the butterflies in is really fun. And then we're done once the grass is in. You know, just, pay attention to composition. Don't put objects where it's going to disrupt. You know, like under the paw, I might lower the grass a bit, but there could be like one line there.
It's emotional grass.
Huh?
It's emotional grass. It doesn't need to be disruptive. It just needs to emotionally convey that they're running in a field.
It does. And that there's joy and there's happiness and it's just everything is as it should be. Right? I like to do my little grass. Grass.
Wow, this is amazing. Well, I'm going to say thank you to everybody who's come here because this has been a really amazing thing. Thank you to everybody who supported St. Jude and Play Live.
Yes, thank you so much. It means the world to them. And someday, to some family, when the doctor can say to their child, Your child has leukemia, but it's okay. We have this treatment and it's going to be over in a minute. We helped make that happen by helping those doctors and the people doing the research. The amazing things that they've done so far is just earth-shattering to me. I got to caffeinate before a butterfly.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend.
You know, we recommend coffee before butterflies.
So this little wing, I'm going to kind of squish it. See how we're doing it? We did this in the big art quest with our fairy. We're going to squish this little wing and put it in perspective.
Is that the Sherpa's, empowerment book? Coffee before butterflies?
Coffee before. Oh, that would be a good. Hey, babe. That's a good idea. Let's do it.
Coffee before butterflies. It was born.
You guys are here. So, just try to show the butterflies in different positions around that they are so that it feels, to you like you're seeing something flittering around, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can put more in than I have, too. You're not committed to the amount of butterfly that I have. You could have a different amount of butterfly. You could have like a little butterfly anywhere you want one. It could be further away. If you want them to be further away, little butterflies, guess what? You just make them smaller. I'm just putting that in perspective there. Yeah. Actually, I'm pretty good. I feel like.
Now, if you wanted to rotate
little grass that's flying up from the energy of everything.
Now, they were asking on the young man there in the chair. You could rotate his thumbs either way if you wanted the hands facing a different direction.
Yes.
Because wrists rotate both ways.
Wrists rotate both ways. He's doing this.
Hold on, your hands are too big.
Okay, he's doing this. His arms are outstretched.
Yes.
So that puts his thumbs back.
But you could rotate them either way if you wanted.
Yeah, he could be doing this, and then his thumbs would be to the inside.
Or you could rotate him outside.
So my suggestion is put your arms in the position you want him to be putting them in, and look where are your thumbs. Do that.
Yes. And then, you can engage in your own thumb preferential painting.
Yeah, it is all up to you. His hands could be down.
They could be.
There's nothing wrong with that. Now I'm actually going to sign into the black today. I'm going to take my white. And I'm going to get a little of I think today I'm going to do my Phthalo Blue to tint it so it's not just white. And it feels like it's part of the painting. Because I don't want to pull away from the design. The original, I think I signed in pink. And we'll sign this one in and off blue. So I'm going to come here to the end. There's I painted it to the easel. I'm just going to just sign it.
Just sign it.
Just sign it. All right. I'm proud of this.
I think it's beautiful.
I am very, very happy with this. And I think it's going to be something that you can replicate at home, that you can do. I think it's going to be great as gifts. For those of you that I know are going to write me and say, hey, there's this charity, there's a hospital, there's an event. I think this image would be perfect. I want to donate it. I want you to go to the Art Sherpa website and check out labs because we have a program there. So if you have a business, you can, license it to teach, but also to help non-profits and not-for-profits and charities and humanitarian organizations be able to use Sherpa products and get the license and everything. So just check that out, artsherpa.com. Check out the labs thing, and we will hook you up because, of course, we want to help you in your fundraising and in your awareness and to make spaces where people live reflect a warm, welcoming, positive self-image to everyone. I want you to be good to yourselves and be good to each other, and I'm going to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye!